Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, May 28th, 2025, and the Philadelphia Eagles are still Super Bowl champions. And your Philadelphia Phillies have the best record in Major League Baseball. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the STT Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Phillies returned home after a 6-1 road trip and winning 9 of their last 10 to face the Braves. They beat them too last night 2-0. Rained out tonight. Double dip tomorrow, day-night doubleheader. And the Brewers come in for 3 after that. It's going to be a fun week. We'll take a walk down memory lane today as we review our 2020 Philadelphia Sports Mount Rushmore. Are you ready to make any changes to our 2020 picks? We'll talk about that. My trip to the Indianapolis 500 was a blast again. We'll talk some about that. And it's Delco Day time as the gang prepares to celebrate its 10th anniversary on June the 7th at Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park, PA. We have plenty to talk about in Philly sports, as always, Jet.
I'm excited about Delco Day. I think we've both been there at least a couple of times, and always a real good time. And this year is the 10th one. You know it's going to be great. Can't wait to get more details on that from our guest. And, of course, lots of Phillies and Eagles talk, maybe a little Sixers. Speaking of the Eagles, we are 99 days away from the season opener, September 4th. How about that? And, our Philly Sports Mount Rushmore, maybe a few changes from 5 years ago, we will discuss.
Yeah. Hey, don't go to Delco Day if you don't want to have fun.
Exactly.
If you just want to hang out, go somewhere else. If you want to come have a good time, come to Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park. That'll be fun. Looking forward to talking more about that. And we have a great guest tonight making a return visit to Philly Press Box Radio in our old Edge of Philly sports pal and one of the founders of Delco Day, Al Zaffiri.
2 months ago, you took a week off, and Big Al filled in for you, doing a tremendous job, of course. And it'll be fun to have the three of us together once again for, Bill, you didn't mention this, show number 550. That's a semi milestone.
Yes, it is. Everyone's a milestone at this point. But
exactly.
Hey, them round numbers are good numbers. Well, hey, Let's get to it. Let's welcome Big Al Zaffiri back to Philly Press Box Radio. Big Al, welcome.
Guys, thanks for having me. I could not wait for this. Been waiting for it all day.
There you go.
Awesome. Always great to see you. You know that. Let's see. Where should we start? Oh, by the way, I'm going to mention this. I think this was maybe the first time the three of us were together. This was a little party outside your place, Al, back in the summer of 2020. And I made you guys squint and face the camera into the sun.
That was the old house. I've since moved, but back 2020, man, time flies, huh?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Hey, maybe we need to come up with a song, Chet. You like to sing. Maybe we waiting all day for Wednesday night.
There you go.
Some pretty girl sings that on Sunday night. Al mentioned he's been waiting all day. Maybe you need to work on that.
I will work on that. Anyway, Al, let's start with the Eagles, actually. You're an Eagles fan. We're all Eagles fans. How does it feel now for the Birds to have been to the Super Bowl 3 times in the last 8 years and come away with 2 Lombardi trophies? That's pretty good.
I mean, listen, the number one thing growing up I'm 42 years old as an Eagles fan. No matter how bad or how good your team was, the other teams had one thing over on you, right?
Yeah.
Super Bowl victories. I mean, we all heard it. Dallas Cowboys fans blowing the dust off the VHS in talking about all their Lombardi trophies. We all had that, and we all had to hear about that. The first one, that was just like, all right, at least they can't keep going to that well. Now it's like we have 2 in a short amount of time, and those guys couldn't even sniff one since their last one. And now it's like, I don't like using this term, but is, dynasty, or at least a long-term, success rate going on for the Philadelphia Eagles. And hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all as well. That's the beauty of it. I mean, like, we all remember the dark days of pretty much the 90s of the Eagles. It was dark days up until the Andy Reid era, and then we were teased with the Andy Reid era. And then, we just never got to the promised land. And then finally, Doug Peterson and now, Nick Sirianni, who a lot of us, even myself at one point, were out on.
Al, coming off the season that the Eagles came off of, actually the 3 seasons that they've come off of, with that little collapse there at the end of one of them. But as we look forward here, you mentioned Dusty. Is it going to be a disappointment to Eagles fans if the Eagles don't make the Super Bowl again? This schedule is loaded. This team is loaded. If it's an early out somewhere along in the playoffs, is this a disappointed group of Philadelphia Eagles fans?
I think anything but a victory in the Super Bowl is going to be a disappointment after what we've went through. Not just winning the Super Bowl, because let's take 2017. They won the Super Bowl. 2018, there was a lot of maturity to be had by players and coaches and GMs alike. I mean, Howie Roseman, lucked into some things, but also could have caused a lot more problems in 2018 and 2019. But I think anything less than a victory will be a letdown, but not to the point that, where everybody's out on this team. People be more willing to say there's always next year a little bit if they lose this year. But with the way this team is stacked and how young this team is, let's not look past this. I mean, not just a talented team, but outside of Lane Johnson and Dallas Goedert, this is a really young team, and the future is bright. And like I said, Howie Roseman, one of the things that he did wrong in 2018, he got too attached to guys that were either did something from in the past or past their prime. They're not doing that anymore. They made up a lot of these mistakes. They're holding on to guys. It just seems like the right amount of times. I mean, still mistakes are made, but they're mitigated by victory, of course, ultimately winning the Super Bowl.
Well, OTAs got underway on Tuesday, and there are lots of new faces on the Super Bowl champions roster. You mentioned lots of new faces, young guys as well. 12 players, of course, departed via free agency or trade, a few new arrivals that way, plus the April draft, which saw, I guess, 9 or 10 new players added to the fold. With all those changes and a real challenging schedule, as I put it up there, what do you expect this year? You think they can get back to the Super Bowl, but man, that is a brutal schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a brutal schedule. And if you actually look at that schedule, there's some areas, without the time zone, it's a little hard to see, but you'll see week 1, week 2, week 3, a lot of these weeks, there's a lot of time in between. And then there's times where there's no time in between. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be some lulls, I call mini bye weeks, that are going to feeling like it's forever from one game to the next. And if you look at it, as of right now, as the schedule stands, they have only 6 1:00 games, and all 5 of them are pre-bye week. Or 5 to 6 of them are pre-bye week, I should say. So that's another thing. So there's a lot of other prime time. You have the Black Friday game, which I'm kind of looking forward to. As a Flyers fan, Black Friday was always Flyers hockey at noon for me. Now you got Flyers hockey hopefully at noon, and then 3:00 Eagles game. That could make a great doubleheader. But I mean, some of the big things are, and even though the Giants aren't a great team, before the bye and before the end of the season, you play 2 of the same divisional teams twice in 3 games. I mean, that last 3 games, Commanders, Bills, Commanders, that's some tough sledding there. And the schedule is doing nobody favors, but that's the minus part of being the best of last year. So, yep. I mean, if you look at it this way, I'm not going to give you too much of a prediction, but I mean, you start off against the Cowboys, which is, great on paper, but, in the week 1, everybody's kind of in preseason mode still, so anything can happen. You got Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, the Rams, I think, are a little overinflated in some people's eyes. Tampa always gives you struggles. Broncos, as long as they don't take a step backwards, could be a tough game. Giants, Minnesota's, not a bad team either. Then you got Green Bay. Then you finally see Detroit. We've all been waiting for that matchup with the current Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles. Cowboys again. The Bears, again, I think people overrate a little bit much. Chargers, and then the Raiders in my eyes are kind of a mini bye before you get slapped in the face. Commanders, Bills, Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Al, my partner has already made it clear that he doesn't think that Saquon Barkley can repeat what he did last year. I, for one, am not ready to say that. Uh, your thoughts on that? A lot of these are long runs, so you can still run fast and run long. The offensive line is going to be just as good, maybe better, depending on who they plug in at the right guard spot. Can Saquon repeat?
Are we talking getting close to 2,000 yards again, Bill Furman, or just having a great all-around season?
Let's just say 1,500 plus. That's a great season.
Yeah, no, I think he could get 1,500 plus, but I don't expect a lot in the beginning. That's what I would say is and here's the thing is you have to change. Every year a coach has to reinvent themselves. Every year playbooks have to kind of reinvent themselves. So people are going to they've spent the last 6 months studying Saquon and the Eagles offensive line. Now, it doesn't mean they've cracked the code, but look what the Chiefs did. They did ultimately shut him down, but they couldn't shut down the rest of that offense. So I expect to see in the beginning of the season a little bit more pass heavy, a little bit more reliant on Jalen Hurts. But and depending on if A.J. Dillon or Shipley or one of these guys take the next step up, maybe giving a little load balance, especially in the way beginning. But ultimately, I expect the same from Saquon Barkley. And I really don't expect the Eagles to go too far off the beaten path. Maybe just some tweaks. Maybe let them use A.J. in those little quicker, 2-3 yard needs, goal line stances or somebody else, kind of keeping the brutality down on a guy who's a little older, not too old, but a little older, but also has a lot of mileage on him right now between playing for the Giants, who pretty much used them for their entire offense. So had a lot of mileage even before he came here. And then last year, and like I said, having a shortened offseason is another down part of having a championship run.
Yeah, and you just made my case for me, Al. A lot of wear and tear on him this past year, a shorter off season, and the fact that I think the Eagles are going to look to throw the ball more this year. I think, if he has 1,200, 1,300 yards, that's still not bad at all, and I'm fine with that. Let's switch gears, talk a little Phillies right now. I'll even change the background for us. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Phillies have the best record in Major League Baseball, something a lot of people didn't think would happen a few weeks ago. But there are concerns, namely the bullpen. Is that the major issue for them right now that's going to have to be addressed?
Yeah, I would say that's the top. If you had to make a list of most important things to worry about right now, and I'll tell you why, and why the other ones to me are not as important afterwards. But I mean, you have some guys who are playing good and playing maybe some of them even above maybe their normal capabilities. I mean, Jordan Romano is a guy that came out of here. I think we're all ready to pack his bags for him after the first couple of weeks of the season. But ultimately, he's definitely, they found out he was tipping pitches, I guess was what they really were thinking that he was doing. And that's why he was getting so knocked around. But definitely playing a lot better. But you're seeing Kirkering, especially over the last few games, last couple of weeks maybe, definitely playing better. The Jose Alvarado thing was a huge kick to the groin in this case for the Phillies. I mean, I don't think it's arguably. I think he was the best pitcher on the staff at that point, or bullpen pitcher, I should say, on the staff at that point. So that's a loss. It's not like a death shot, but it's not that final nail in the coffin. But they definitely have to make some moves here, and they have the capability and they have the pieces to do so. And I hope at least, I think you're going to see a more aggressive Dombrowski between now and the end of the trade deadline.
Yep.
Okay, so you led me right into that. Aaron Nola's not going to be as bad as Aaron Nola has been. I think he's got enough of a track record. We got to give him the benefit of the doubt there. That gives us 5 starting pitchers with Painter and with Abel on the farm looking to be brought up. Are you willing to move a starter to get a closer or a top-notch reliever if that's what it takes? Personally, I think you can't have enough starters. And Abel and Painter still pretty unproven or definitely unproven. So you're willing to make a move if you're in Dombrowski's spot. You're not going to be able to trade Nola. We know that, but it's probably a Suarez would probably be the guy. You ready to
He'd
move
probably fetch you the most, I would say. If any of the current starters, he's going to fetch you the most. Right now,
and
he
he's
looks like
he's coming up on as a free agent. So
he's going to come up as a free agent. He's also, right now after except for his first start, looks like the Ranger Suarez of last May. So I think if anybody's going to fetch anything, it will be him. But in my eyes, it's kind of a catch-22 because you're looking to win this year. And if you look at it, the Phillies are kind of like a year behind the Eagles in the way that the ups and downs of their last few seasons have went. So I don't know if you get rid of Ranger. Maybe you get Taijuan Walker out of here and maybe get a mediocre 2 bullpen arms. But I don't know how much you're going to fetch for a guy like Taijuan Walker, especially with the bloated contract that he has. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think anybody except for maybe Crawford and Painter and Miller and with a T8, the young catcher, are untouchable. And maybe Mick Abel was here just to show off because I had a conversation with somebody and I said, let me ask you straight up. Mason Miller, a premier closer with a team that's just god-awful, and by the time they're any good, he'll probably be retired. Would you do a straight-up trade for Mick Abel for Mason Miller?
I would have to consider it.
I would say hell
the
yeah.
Phillies, I'd do it.
Yeah, I'm running to the phone on that one.
Yeah.
Like for the most part. Like, I mean, unless they want somebody who to me is not like a big miss or anything, but I'm running to the phone on that one.
You're not getting that on the other side, though, I don't believe.
No, they're going to listen. Mason Miller's all the Athletics have to offer right now. I mean, really, let's be honest. That's their biggest piece of all. Like, they have really nothing else to hold on to. If they let him go, it's got to be for a king's ransom. Now, I'm using that as an example, but if you found somebody close to the Mason Miller capabilities as a closer, especially because one thing about, I still think Tomper gets a lot of unnecessary hate, but I also understand why people get frustrated with him. And one of the biggest Tomper things that drive me nuts, and it really showed itself in October of last year against the Mets when he just turned the bullpen upside down and started like the better pitchers in the 6th inning and the other guys in the 8th and 9th inning, which just makes no sense, but whatever. There's no closer. Closers is a mentality. We're all old school baseball guys. There's a mentality. Damn the analytics when it comes to this. Analytics has its place in certain areas, but when it comes to a closer, pitchers, baseball guys, they need to know what they're doing. They need to know what they're doing, when they're doing it, and how they're doing it. And I feel like when they're settled in, it's going to be less nerve wracking for some of these guys. And if you're struggling and you're like, oh man, there might be a possibility I gotta close tonight, that doesn't help. Like, you just need to know what you're doing. So if they can go get a closer and maybe one other, kind of like Banks kind of reliever like they got last year from the Orioles, like doesn't have to be top notch, but don't have to give up the farm, because I also, part of my thought process, and I keep sticking by this, and I think it's going to be not too far from now, maybe the All-Star break at the latest. I honestly think Crawford's going to be in Phillies red and white by the time this rolls around. That's why I'm saying he's untouchable, because I think he's their answer at center field, because everybody's upset about them not taking the offseason and getting a better center fielder. I think they're just allowing these guys to try out. I mean, Johan Rojas, he could be trade bait in my eyes too. If you don't see him as your center fielder of the future, he's a good piece of trade bait. He's young, he's still under contract, and he plays well. I mean, his batting, when he is a 9th hole hitter right now, but he's on a 9th hole hitter on a really stacked Phillies team. But at the same time, he's also batting like around 300, even for as little chances he gets. And let's be honest, in his defense in the field, for the most part, outside of a couple boneheaded mistakes, why not? I mean, even you're going to need depth pieces, so you can go as crazy as Brandon Marsh. I doubt that's going to happen. But I would say Johan Rojas could be a guy they move if you think Crawford's going to be the next guy up. And I really think that's their game plan, is to get Crawford a little bit more time down in the minors, get him, and then bring him up here. He is totally raking right now. His defense is spectacular right now. I go on my MLB app and just watch a lot of the Iron Pigs games. They are just lighting the minors on fire right now. So that's why I'm not super worried about adding a bat or maybe a bench piece if you wanted to. But I'm telling you, it has to be bullpen. You have to answer it. Like you guys said, we're kind of overflowing right now, but we also can't assume Mick Abel or Andrew Painter's going to come up here and just be lights out.
Right.
But we have to worry more about the postseason, and that's more your 1, 2, 3. I don't think Aaron Nola is as bad as we saw him. I think maybe a little between the head situation. I think he'll be fine and definitely a number 2 guy by the time the end of the season.
Well, Al, we could talk lots more Phillies. We didn't get to the Sixers, which I know Bill is very disappointed about. He loves talking Sixers, but oh well. We do have to talk Delco Day because Delco Day 10 is fast approaching. It is June 7th. And as Bill mentioned at the top, you had a hand in creating this thing 10 years back. So tell us about the origins and what's coming up this year.
Well, when I got into this crazy world called podcasting, I was doing a show mainly more of a variety show under a different name than Delco Live, but it was all about Delco and Philly sports and everything from a Delco point of view. And, you know, when we did it, the guy I started with, we kind of said to ourselves, we want to give back somehow. Like, I want to, like, you know, our kind of podcast grew fast. Some of these guys are some of the and you see the guy, the big man in purple, and that's a lot for me to say when I'm saying the big man. But you know, Hollywood Holbrook's the other father. This is our baby at this point, and started with us. And the way we were giving back, like, why don't we have a party, but raise money? Like, disguise a party, it's disguise a charity as a party, and that's what we did. And we find, you know, in the beginning, the first couple of years, we gave to Vesticop. 2 local Collingdale police officer got shot. And his vest actually saved his life, and found out, you know, a lot of people weren't getting these vests, and guys coming out of, you know, weren't getting, they have to pay for them, and they're $1,500, $2,500. They're very expensive. So he started a thing called Vesticop, and, you know, now they're kind of self-reliant now. So they have their own funding. They don't have to worry about it. So we then, by Delco Day 3, moved on to what we've currently been working with since is Headstrong, which, if anybody's not familiar, it's kind of the idea of the Ronald McDonald House, you know, but in a lot closer and deeper way. They're based out of Ridley and Swarthmore. Headstrong was started by a young Ridley high schooler lacrosse player who died, unfortunately, of cancer, but started the Headstrong Foundation before, and this family has just made it into this giant behemoth that's been helpful for, at one point, that a house that just kept 3 families. Now they have a giant house in Swarthmore, and that's kind of the funny way how we got involved with them, because when they built the house in Swarthmore that now I think holds like 7 families, there was a local neighbor. There was a neighbor who was upset with that, who, like, she was a little nuts. I mean, she was very nuts, and she doubled down on the news, and that kind of got our attention. And we're like, you know what? Bring them over. We're going to they're the new recipient for Delco Day. And since then, it's been a great thing to watch them grow and become this giant thing where people who we take for granted, guys, where we live. I mean, Philly and Delco, cancer treatment, some of the best in the world right here in our backyard. And I met a guy who was in his, like, I think it was early 60s right before we decided to go with them. And when I met the Headstrong Foundation, and him and his wife were staying there, and he was getting his treatment, and he was telling me his story that he had this kind of rare cancer, but there was a treatment for it, but he had to get treatment every day for like 6 or 7 months straight. But if he did it, he had a high likelihood of surviving. But they lived all the way up in North Jersey, and he's like, I don't have the money to come stay here for 7 months. And if I sell my house and I do all this stuff, my wife and I will be on the street, and it's not fair to my family. And I'm just going to go home and let nature take its course. Headstrong steps in, was able to house him and help him get the treatment he needed too, and afford that part of it as well. It's more than that, and it's helped our good friend Freddie Burns. So yeah, you know, it's been really helpful. And like I said, it is 12 hours, 2 to 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. Great bands, local bands, you know, and just music. We do a little awards. We swear in people who've been living in Delco and you know, never were born, so we swear them in as official Delconians. Do a couple award ceremonies for people who just kind of above and beyond in the Delco stories. People have been asking us to do the Delco Deucer, as they've been to give her an award. I said, I don't know about the award, but I'm sure we'll have something there representing that. Yes. But hey, like, Al, you've been there. It's been
didn't you take this to the state of Pennsylvania and turn it into is it a Delco holiday, state holiday? How'd that work out?
So there's a little beef right there, and I'll tell you what happened, Bill. So when we first came up with the idea, I think it was around Delco Day 3 or 4. I don't forget exactly. Yeah, it'd be about 3. They said to you, if you get this thing to pass unanimously for 5 years straight, it automatically becomes on the books. So every June 10th would be officially Delco Day, celebrating Delco and trying to allow people to raise money and do things for whatever their charity they felt. So for 5 years, we were able to pull that off. So on the 5th year, we had it happen, and we were excited, and we were ready on that Delco Day to make the announcement that it is official. Here we are, and they said they changed the rule about 3 months prior. They didn't think anybody was going to be able to do it, and we did it. So now we tell them kind of stuff the holiday. We made it a holiday with or without, the politics behind it, and they still get involved and they still put it through. So God bless them, but that's kind of the story behind it. But yes, Delco Day technically is a holiday. June 10th is a holiday. It should be on the books every year, but we have to go through it every year. So it is a holiday again. Yes.
And June 10th, of course, because area code 610, June 10th, 10th of June.
Absolutely.
Hey, let me show you this little promo that you and your cohorts put out.
Calling all Delco, you know what time of year it is. June 7th, Dolan's Bar, the wildest party in Delco. It's bigger, it's better than ever. We're talking 12 hours of live bands, local vendors, cold drinks, and all the Delco energy you could expect, all for the benefit of the Headstrong Foundation. Over the last 9 years, we raised over $150,000 for families affected by cancer, and this year, we're going even harder. So text the group chat, call your mom, send a carrier pigeon, whatever, just be there. June 7th, 2 p.m., 2 a.m., Dolan's Bar, Ridley Park. If you can't remember all the details, let's go to delcoday.com.
I love that ending.
Hey, now, Al, there's a rumor floating around that there's a certain NFL player that actually played center for the Eagles recently that could be in attendance, since his Garage Beer is now an official sponsor of Delco Day.
Yes, we had an official endorsement by a certain Jason Kelsey. I cannot deny nor confirm if he won't be there. If he's going to be in town, all I can tell you is that he's endorsed it, and he is actually a recipient of the he's going to be sworn in as a Delconian. Will he be there? I can't say.
Well, Bill promised that he's going to get there around 4:00 and will be there at 2 a.m. when the place closes down. He
didn't promise the second part of that.
I'll tell you, there's another former Eagle who will be playing DJ. Hollis Thomas is the official DJ to end Delco Day 10.
Hollis has been known to party.
Now, don't you, Al, I know Dolan's does a lot of stuff, and I don't know if it's all related to what you guys have going on, but don't they do a lot of stuff with Mickey Morandini and some others with the Phillies? Are they going to be involved as well?
Well, they just had them there. They just this past Saturday, Wiffle Ball Madness, which is every year. Unfortunately, I had to miss it this year. Some family stuff came up, but they had Ruben Amaro this year, Mickey Morandini, Tank was there. I believe Kruk might even swung by on this one. He was there last year. I forget on the Kruk one. Don't quote me on that. They're not involved per se, but they've helped endorsed it. Like, they've been using their social media presence or just getting the word out. So listen, you guys know Dolan's very well. We've talked about Dolan's since 2019 when we started working together.
Yes.
So Dolan's very well. PJ goes all out. So using all our resources to make this the biggest one. And a lot of people who are familiar with Dolan's might say, isn't Dolan's a little small compared to the previous years that we've had, like at McGee's and JT Brewski's last year? Well, actually, we mapped that. We're taking out the whole back, the entire back. So we mapped it out. It's actually no smaller than the other ones. So we're on the whole place fenced off. It is going to be a thing to remember. Some great food. Great. We have some great beer there, including Garage Beer. Habersatt is back. So we're gonna have a some Scrapple based menu items.
Scrapple.
For all you, Delco, the official meat of Delco. How do you not have that? It's gonna be fun. Listen, if you haven't been there, and like I said earlier, that's when we knew, when we said Delco Day, it's got to be June 10th, right? And it just makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Bill could be a sight to see, Joe. I would
maybe about 20 years ago. Your chances of seeing Bill at 2 a.m.
Get him a lampshade to put on his head, and it'll be an interesting time. But the best part, we said the first time we did it was the only time that we didn't do 12 hours. The Delco Day 1 was the first time it actually just started at 5. What Scrapple? Oh,
Joe loves Scrapple. He's a huge Scrapple fan.
Oh, okay. He scared me there for a second. But we said it because listen, it's June. It's wedding season. It's graduation season. It's concert season. It's baseball season. It's everything. We all know. We all have family things going on. So we made it available so people, if you just want to come by for a couple hours, it's still $6.10 at the door. That has not changed in a decade. Inflation be damned, I said. Yeah. But it's a labor of love, but it is something we love to do. And hey, maybe there'll be Delco Day 11, 12, 13, and so on and so forth. I don't know. But we take it 1 year at a time.
Hey, one final question for you, Al. Is Philly Sports Guy going to be there? And if so, will he be people be able to come get their picture with him? And he's always great.
100%. If people don't know, that's his backyard, literally. Yeah. PSG's backyard is Dolan's. And I'm not even just making that up. I'm not even saying he lives locally. That is literally his backyard. So, yes, he's going to be there. He actually canceled a Phillies trip, I believe, to be at Delco Day because it means a lot to him. Him and something he started with a couple guys called the Dummers Parade. They did during the pandemic when the mummers couldn't go off, and they do it for charity. So the Dummers will be there, including him with a dunk tank and all that. So it's going to be an interesting time.
Yep. Al, one more thing from me. We already kept you longer than we expected, but hey, we love to talk. Bill and I in the second half hour are going to talk about our Philly sports Mount Rushmore, which we did 5 years ago. We're going to see if we're going to make any updates to it. Who would be your Mount Rushmore of Philly sports, either from 1965, which is as far as we're going back, or just from your lifetime, whatever parameters you want to use?
I'm gonna go with my lifetime because that could be. I sit there with like the dry erase board, like doing scientific mathematical equations to figure out my Mount Rushmore. But yeah. I mean, if you're doing all Philly sports,
athletes, yep,
pro athletes. I mean, Dr. J, got to throw him in there. Eagles wise, it's so difficult to choose. I'd probably tell you 5 years ago, Brian Dawkins, and then I would think Jason Kelsey, but I kind of have to swing towards Brandon Graham a little bit because, and I'll tell you why. And then people might go, wait, Brandon. I'm like, listen, that guy was a lifer. He had one of the longest tenured Philadelphia sports athletes, and he was one of the few guys there for both Super Bowls. So I could throw Brandon up there. Phillies wise, Mike Schmidt. I'm sorry, Mike Schmidt. If it's not Mike Schmidt, I'm sorry. You're out of your mind. Man.
Now you didn't see Bobby Clark, so he would not really qualify.
Bob. That's why I'm trying. I'm saying my lifetime, but it's on there. Like I could honestly put him on there if I had to pick one for each sport. But if I was going to go back, I mean, it's the fourth one's kind of a tough one to pick. But I would go with the Eagles and stick. I mean, actually, I would go with Carlton with the Phillies. Like I would have to throw them up there.
Good pick.
That's what Bill did. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good job, Al.
Guys, it's always a pleasure, and I thank you, guys. It means a lot just to get it out there. Hope to see some of you. I know you guys, but hope to see some of the people listening along at Delco Day, at Dolan's. Reach out to me if you have any questions or anything.
And you and Chet will be signing autographs there. So.
Signing babies. That's what I say. Signing babies. I'll be there. I did sign a baby at Delco Day 7.
And I will not be charging for any photo ops this year, so keep that in mind, folks.
That's good. Yeah, just donate, and then Chet will take a picture with you. Guys, thank you, and keep up the great work. I'll be watching while you guys finish up the show. I want to see your Mount Rushmore.
All right.
I want to see if Chet. I don't know who's more stoic when it comes to this. Is it going to be Chet or Bill? I don't know who's going to be making more changes. Those people would lean towards Bill, but I don't know.
All right.
This be interesting, guys.
Stay tuned.
All right, Al. Appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Chet, Philly Press Box Radio is now part of the STT Sports Network, as in Set the Trends. It's a network set up by our pal, Phil Stiefel. host of the terrific Trending in the AM show that you can find every weekday morning on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel. Check out Phil and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Phil's show is on there, and so is ours. Yep, you can find Philly Press Box Radio there in addition to on our own YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. Again, it's the STT Sports Network setting the trends for what sports talk should be. Hey, Chet, tell us what's going on over at the Irish Rover Station House. We get ready for June already.
Yeah, always a good time over at the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, especially in the spring and summer. The Rover's big outdoor patio is open to all enjoy when it's not raining like it was all day today. You know by now that the Rover always has killer burger Thursdays, dinner specials Thursday through Sunday, happy hour deals Monday through Friday, live music most Saturday nights. Oh, and a $5 Sunday Fun Day menu. And always, of course, 24 beers on tap. Another big event at the Rover next month. It's an annual tradition and always a very popular one. The Rover's annual Father's Day car show. Yeah, right on Father's Day, Sunday, June 15th. They start at 9 in the morning with free admission to all who want to check out the couple hundred classic vehicles on display in the Rover's massive parking lot. And a chunk of the day's proceeds benefit the Bucks County Community Foundation. I've been there 4 or 5 times over the last decade, and it's always a good time. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne and on the web at irishroverstationhouse.com.
Hey, I'm John Brazier, Director of Fun and Games of the Fighting Phils. Speaking of fun, you're hanging with Bill and Chet on Philly Press Box Radio. Go Phils.
Go, John.
Yeah.
Hey, Chet, as we mentioned in the opening, in 2020, you and I put together our 5-person Philly Sports Mount Rushmore. Since then, the Eagles have won a Super Bowl. They've been to another. The Phillies have been to a World Series. They've been to an NLCS. We've added Harold Carmichael to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2020. Coach Dick Vermeil since then. This year, Eric Allen. We've put Scott Rowland in the Hall of Fame. We've got Dick Allen going in this year. All kinds of different activities have happened over the last 5 years. And Joel Embiid is someone that you might consider, but I certainly won't.
All right. Well, first of all, yeah, as I said last week, we know that Mount Rushmore has 4 faces on it. Now, there's an example of a Lehigh Valley radio station earlier this year did a Mount Rushmore, and they came up with these 4: Bobby Clark, Chuck Bednarik, who's a little before our time, Wilt, who you and I, because we're very old, did get to see play, at least for, the second half of his career. And, yeah, Mike Schmidt. That was an easy one. There's the original Mount Rushmore right there for presidents. Course. Now, as far as us, we knew it was going to be really tough to limit it to 4 faces, so we expanded it to 5 when we had that little discussion 5 years ago. And I actually agreed with you on 4 of the 5 guys that we put up there. We both said Wilt. We both said Bobby Clark. We both said Mike Schmidt and Julius Erving. My 5th guy, though, was Brian Dawkins. Yeah, I did choose him over Reggie White. While your 5th was, as we mentioned in the discussion with Al, lefty Steve Carlton. So we ended up with, I guess, a 6-face Mount Rushmore. Yeah, those 6 guys right there: Clarkie, Wilt, Schmidt, Dr. J, Brian Dawkins, and lefty Steve Carlton. So this is in terms of athletes who played in Philly, pro athletes from 1965 to 2020 at the time. The question, should we make some changes? Bill, start off the discussion, and we'll see where we go with it.
Well, Al stole a little bit of my thunder, actually, because I thought I might surprise you with Brandon Graham.
Really?
There's only 2 that I really in my mind have to consider, and I thought a lot about this all week long, and that was Jason Kelce and Brandon Graham. Mm-hmm. Jason Kelce is going to the Hall of Fame. I think we're pretty sure that that's going to happen. Brandon Graham is not going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to the Eagles Ring of Honor, whatever they're going to call that. Yeah. He did win 2 Super Bowls. He made huge plays in both of those Super Bowls to help his team win. Leads the team and the organization, all kinds of longevity records and so forth. Jason Kelce speaks for himself, I think. But when it was all said and done, I couldn't move anybody out. So I'm sticking with my 5. Bernie Perron is still right up there. I did think, without looking it up in great detail, I thought about sliding Wilt out. Greatest player in basketball history, but he didn't spend as much time in Philly as some other places. I thought about that. I thought, you just can't put one of those guys in and take Wilt Chamberlain out.
I couldn't do it. I could not take Wilt out. I mean, he grew up in Philly, went to Overbrook. He played with the Warriors before playing with the Sixers. So he was,
and had the greatest basketball
Philly
season ever put together.
Oh my God. Those early 60s seasons, incredible. Averaging 50 points a game, 25 rebounds one season on average. Wow. Well, I did a looking around the internet and I saw that, I showed the Lehigh Valley radio station, went with those 4. We're not going back as far as Concrete Charlie. So that didn't help me. I'm not ready to put Jalen Hurts on there. Not just yet. I gave serious thought to Jason Kelsey, like you did, very serious thought. Brandon Graham, no, I just can't do it. Great guy, solid career, more games than any other Eagle, but not Mount Rushmore worthy in my mind. But yeah, Kelsey, as you said, a Hall of Fame career, definitely somebody to consider. But you know what? I did make one change. Rather than Brian Dawkins, I went back to another legendary Eagle. Oh. Yeah, Bill, I had to do it. I can't find his picture right now, but Reggie White.
While you're looking for that picture, well, anybody watching this and wants to throw your 5 up there, go ahead, throw them up. We want to see them.
Yeah, I had to go with Reggie just because even though he didn't play in Philly quite as long as Brian Dawkins did, he's, the sack master. He was the leader of that defense for so many years in the late 80s and early 90s. And, as much as B-Doc meant to fans of the Eagles, I just think, Reggie White was more of the pure lock Hall of Famer. It took B-Doc a while to get there. So that would be the only change for me, Reggie White instead of Brian Dawkins.
So did Reggie play over the last 5 years that got better, that made you?
No, and I know you could make that argument, but, I also considered Allen Iverson too, maybe replacing Dr. J, because he's more recent, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't take Dr. J out there. So yeah, you stood pat. I just made the one change. Reggie White in, Brian Dawkins, no.
Oh, Joe's got Jason Kelsey in my Steve Carlton spot. He's got him in your now Reggie White spot.
Yeah. That's a good 5, Joe.
That's a good 5.
Kid Camden.
Absolutely, kid. Very good. Yeah. So it's funny, and maybe it's just because some of these guys we saw when we were younger that have left a greater impression, but they're some of the greatest that ever played the game or their positions in the game. I think you can't really go too wrong with that.
BG had the biggest play to lock up our first Super Bowl, says Big Al. Yeah, you're right. And I get you, Al. So he's definitely, worth considering, although I didn't.
Yeah, he's a leader. I mean, he's been a leader on both of those Super Bowl teams. So, yeah. Well, we'll come back. We got another 5 years, Chet, if we're still here. We'll be on show what by then? Like 800?
And let's see, 50 a year. So 50 times 5, another 250 or 260.
Right, about 800.
Now, maybe we'll get to 1,000, Bill. Wouldn't that
How about that? Yeah, then we'll go in our own Hall of Fame then.
Hey, while we're going down memory lane here, Bill, I want to show you something else. Here's the deal. I was watching NBC Sports Philadelphia on Monday night because there was no Phillies game. Joe Howe, Clark Schmidt, Dr. J, and Chuck Bednarik. Yeah.
Joe, you're not old enough to see Chuck Bednarik.
I don't know. Joe's pretty old. But Monday night with no Phillies game, NBC Sports Philly aired something that actually happened 15 years ago this week. Bill, what were you doing May 29th of 2010?
May 29th of 2010.
Yeah. It was a Saturday night, I believe. I can tell you that the Flyers were playing the Chicago Blackhawks, but while that game was going on, a lot of people started switching over to the Phillies game because Roy Halladay was having quite a night.
Oh.
And here's how it ended with Tom McCall.
Paulino down to the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Everybody on their feet. Halladay's got his signs. The 1-2 pitch. Hit toward third. Castro has it. Spins, fires. A perfect game! Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia Phillies history. He faces 27 batters. He retires all 27. It's the 20th perfect game in baseball history and the second one this year.
That was impressive.
I was going to mention Roy Halladay, but because when I was getting checked out on these new Hall of Famers, Halladay went in actually in 19. So he was in before we did our 2020. So he was in for consideration at that time, I think.
Yeah, but he only had really, 2.5, 3 great years as a Philly. So, yeah.
Right. And as we talked about when we put it together, the same with Moses Malone.
Yeah.
There just wasn't enough time there. Robbie going with Kelsey Irving, Clark Schmidt, and Bernie. So she left out who? Dr. J and
Dr. J Irving. She spelled it wrong, but Dr. J Irving.
Okay. Oh, did I miss it? Oh, Irving. Okay. Clark Schmidt, Wilt and Carlton.
No,
off
Wilt.
my list.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's Bob's got from Coach Vermeil, Reggie White, Dr. J, Bobby Clark, Brandon Graham.
More love for DG. How about that?
Yeah. How about that?
Any others?
No, that's all I see so far.
All right. One more memory lane trip, Bill, because there was another anniversary yesterday. It was the 50th anniversary of the Flyers' second Stanley Cup. And we had this guy, Bob Kelly, on the show just about a month ago. We showed it then, but we're going to show it again because it's the 50th anniversary. Bob Kelly with what turned out to be the game-winning goal, the only goal they needed when the Flyers beat the Buffalo Sabres. He got the goal early in the third period.
For the third period, let's go Flyers, let's go Don Earl.
Thank you, Gene. Off the face-off, it comes to the Flyers line. Jimmy Watson of Van Epp up to Leach on the right wing, and he just puts it to the right wing corner of the Buffalo zone. Kelly bumped behind the net by Korath. Kelly has it. Oh, but he scores! Bob Kelly for Kent to take the cake, and the Flyers are on the board. It's 1-0. The Hound does it again.
For a case of tasty cakes.
Yeah.
Let's go Flyers. Let's go Don Earl. Gene Hart and Don Earl, man. That was our life.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other memory lane things tonight, right? Those are good. I like that.
Well, maybe a couple things later on I can bring up near the end.
We got to go 50 years to get to the Flyers one, though. Right?
Sad.
Hey, Chet, tell me what could be better than a summer of Phillies baseball and tailgating with the best tailgaters in Philadelphia? Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Yeah, Cavs Philly Tailgates has been cooking up a terrific catering business for more than 35 years now. Known best for their tailgate parties, Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgate's Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs does corporate events, parties, you name it. And Cav, of course, hosts tailgates before all Eagles home games outside the link. And there will be various tailgates outside Citizens Bank Park as well this summer because, they're doing a couple at least. One before a big Phillies-Mets battle on Saturday, June 21st. Another then before a Phils-Orioles game in August with a busload or two of folks from Baltimore joining in the fun for that one. How about that? Get details on all upcoming events at Cavs' website, phillytailgates.com. And if you have questions, you can email them at cavscatering@verizon.net. By the way, Cav and his partner Vince at Philly Sports Trips are now taking reservations for all Eagles road trips this fall. Keep that in mind. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go.
Hey, Chet, I wanted to throw another one at you but it actually takes place tomorrow, May the 29th. This one's going to set you back just a little bit.
Okay.
Tomorrow is the 36th anniversary of Mike Schmidt's retirement.
Oh, wow.
36 years, May 29th, 1989.
I remember well the tearful retirement announcement.
Yeah, that is tomorrow, 36 years ago. Man, again, like they say, time certainly does fly.
Oh, boy. Yes, indeed.
Hey, we had a great guest tonight in Al Zaffiri. We have a schedule change for next week also. And you got to tell us who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next Thursday at 7
Yes,
p.m.
Bill, we do have that schedule change because, hey, one of us is not going to be available on Wednesday. Okay, it's me. Sorry.
Gee.
So, yeah, we're making the shift to Thursday for next week, 7 p.m., the usual time at least. And we will be talking lots of baseball with this guy. His name is Tim Kelly. He had covered the Phils for many years for Phillies Nation, but now he is the managing editor of On Pattison. And he does just a great job covering the Phillies. It is Tim Kelly joining us live next Thursday, June 5th at 7 p.m.
Man, Tim is just loaded with Phillies baseball knowledge, too. He's on the current stuff. He's on the history stuff. Tim's a great guest, and we'll be able to talk all things Phillies after we roll off some more wins against the Braves and the Brewers.
Hey, Bill, I know what you did Sunday.
Yeah, I got to attend my second Indianapolis 500 on Sunday. It was the 109th running, and it didn't disappoint.
Well, yeah, forgive me, but I didn't get to watch any of it, so I didn't really hear or read about the outcome. So give me the recap. How early did you get there? How do you watch a race like that? What was the day like overall? You have the floor, Mr.
Other than it was cold. I left Tampa. It was 102 degrees. I got to Indianapolis, woke up the next morning. It was 49 degrees.
Wow.
The wind breeze never slowed down. It was kind of chilly. We were in shorts. We did have coolers, so that was good. That took care of some of that business. Left the house about 6 o'clock for a noon race. If you don't know about the Indianapolis 500, of course, is in Indianapolis, right? Wrong. It's in Speedway. It's in Speedway, Indiana. It would be like a suburb of Philadelphia, right? Like you have the Manayunks and the different places. Well, it's Speedway. Everybody in the town is in on it. Every house is decorated. Every house has parking. Every house has tents. Walk around and just have a blast. So that part was great. You get to the race, and they do all the military things and flyovers and play taps. 350,000 people in the stands, Chet. They play taps. You could literally hear a pin drop. It is amazing. They celebrate Memorial Day in a great way there. It is it's the pageantry of the event, kind of like the game never went to yet, the Army-Navy game. There's so much more that goes on besides the game or the race that makes it so fun. And the locals are so into it, and they love doing it, and it's really great. The thing about who you're rooting for, you better have a color, Chet. Because see that little number up there on the top? You never see it once they start racing. They go by too fast.
Wow. And so this guy won, right? Whatever his name was, Alex Palou.
Alex Palou was the winner. And it turns out that some of the top five got disqualified after post-race inspections. The field a little bit. So
interesting.
Great time. Ended up getting back out of there on Monday just because I didn't have quite enough time to stick around, and got back to Tampa. It was about 95 degrees. So I went from like 104 to 49 to 95, and all good. I'll do it again next year.
Cool. Well, Bill, I know you're not watching the NBA playoffs, but I got to tell you, I've been watching mostly the Knicks and Pacers, and they've been pretty entertaining games. The first three games, the visiting team won, and it took a comeback to do it. And then last night, the Pacers did hold court, so they took a 3-1 lead over the Knicks. It shifts now back to Madison Square Garden, with the Knicks trying to stay alive tomorrow night. But it has been pretty entertaining, I got to admit.
Well, you know what's entertaining to me, Chet? A New York team losing. Nothing makes me happier. And just because, and Joe's on here, Kid Joe. So our pal Ambrose Reagan, who is sniffing around of all that New York cesspool teams that he runs around with. I can't wait for his elimination. He's already jumped back on the baseball train because he's quit on his team. So good stuff. And I've been watching a lot of hockey, though. I have some of those games, and it looks like it's going to be Edmonton and Florida again. And
is that who it was last year? The same two teams?
Yeah, and Florida won, and Florida's going to probably win again.
All right, couple other things for memory lane, if you want. First of all, here's a picture of those 1975 Cup-winning Flyers. There's Bernie and Clarkey in the forefront, Rick McLeish over on the left. 50 years ago, Bill, man, I hope we don't have to wait, another 50, because if that's the case, you and I ain't going to see it.
Yeah, right. I hate to say that, but
speaking of which, real quickly, Al Morganti reported today that there's a good chance that the Carter Hart thing and the other guy's case will end up being thrown out or dismissed or whatever. If so, do you see the potential return of Carter Hart to the Flyers?
Well, I think I think Carter Hart's been released, so he would have to be brought back. And I think the question that I saw was, would you be willing to bring him back? And the answer for me is absolutely.
Yeah.
They need a goaltender. He's still young. He might have a ton of rust on him, but yeah, I'd absolutely take Carter Hart back in a second.
Yeah, might be something to discuss further next week. All right. Bill, this guy, one of my favorite singers of all time, John Fogerty, 80 years old today. Man, what a catalog of songs from Creedence Clearwater Revival that they had in a mere 5 or 6 years together. And then, of course, Fogerty's solo career with Center Field and other hits. And how about this? I saw this over the weekend. Former Philadelphia Stars coach, New Orleans Saints coach, and others, Jim Mora turned 90 years old.
Playoffs.
Yeah, that guy. There he is. That is not a 90-year-old man. I mean, it is, but I don't look that good at my age.
Yeah.
I'm honest about it.
I'm just hope. Well, you hope you're on this side at 90, but then if you are, that you can actually make it to the weight room.
Look at that. Jim Mora, 90 years old.
Yeah. So let me throw a tidbit at you.
Okay.
Back to John Fogerty.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you the story that me and Mary had tickets, VIP tickets to see John Fogerty at the House of Blues in Orlando some years back when he was on tour, because my son Mike's roommate in college was the son of one of the guitar players in Fogerty's band.
Huh.
So we had VIP tickets right up front, and you want to talk about a show, man. In a little venue like that, it was absolutely fantastic. So I'm a huge Fogerty fan. Who do?
Yeah,
huh?
Me too. I love him. I've seen him twice. I saw him as part of a Springsteen Vote for Change tour in 2004.
Oh, yeah.
We won't go there. And then again, I saw him with ZZ Top about 6 years ago. It was 2018 or 2019. And yeah, terrific then, still terrific now. 80 years old today. Last thing, Bill, from me, if I'm not mistaken, it was on this date in 1977 that you were at the Spectrum, Bill, to see Elvis Presley's final Spectrum performance, May 28th, 1977. Is that true?
Fact. That's a fact. I didn't realize it was May 28th, but yeah, his last tour, he passed away about 3 months later.
Yeah, August.
Yeah. Yes, I was absolutely there. I didn't realize it was today. How about that?
Well, yeah, I listen to WMMR from time to time, and Pierre Robert in his midday show does a little, retrospective of what concerts were in town on this particular date. And he said that today. I said, "Oh yeah, that was the one Bill was at shortly before Elvis died."
Absolutely.
Bill, I'm going to see you.
And it was a great show.
Oh, of course. We have another week to go, but run down again what's happening.
Yeah, don't forget, mark your calendars now for Saturday, June the 7th from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. You won't see me anywhere near those late times. To come to Delco Day 10, Dolan's Bar, Ridley Park, PA, benefiting the Headstrong Foundation. I'm going to try to be there around 4 o'clock, I think, and stay for a while.
Same here.
You got to, as Al mentioned, there's a ton of music to listen to. There's bars, there's food trucks, there's vendors. There's a lot of stuff to do, roam around, and it's going to be a blast. And as Al mentioned, it's for a great cause.
Wrap it up, Bill.
All right. We'd like to thank tonight's special guest, Al Zaffiri, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Thursday night, June the 5th at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel, and on the STT Sports Network YouTube channel, and listen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans. Let's go, Phillies.
Happy trails to you, till we meet again.